Hi, my name is Mark Polton. I'm a real estate investor in the greater Charlotte, North Carolina area. Currently we're in the process of getting our 12th home. I'm what you can call a no frills, no thrills real estate investor. If you're looking for the big flashy guys that want to sell you something, go check out their channels. I'm just giving you my thoughts. Today I want to talk about being overwhelmed and putting a lot of time into wisdom. I've been thinking about wisdom, where it comes from, how you get it. And I've concluded, at least in my life, that the vast majority of my wisdom, and I think I have some, has come from um, overcoming being overwhelmed. Let me repeat that: overcoming being overwhelmed. And I started looking back, and maybe like in high school, you have a girlfriend, you're in love, you think you're gonna get married, smoochy, smoochy, smoochy. And then, she breaks up with you or whatever. She's kissing Bobby behind the bleachers, and your heart is broken. You're overwhelmed by these emotions of hurt and guilt and regret and whatever. But you get over it, and the next time it happens, it's not as bad. You might be overwhelmed again, and learn to cope with that. Or take high school. You're overwhelmed by the workload, college especially. I went to the United States Military Academy at West Point, New York, and the workload, both scholastically and militarily, was overwhelming. But I learned coping mechanisms, and I learned how to manage that and overcame the overwhelming. Um, and that translates to everywhere. My professional life, where I'm a single IT guy having to support a medium-sized business. It's overwhelming, but I got better skills. I got more knowledge. I created wisdom by overcoming being overwhelmed. And same thing in real estate. When it's 1 o'clock in the morning, you can't sleep. You've promised somebody that you're going to purchase a property for $45,000. The closing is next week, and you don't have $45,000. You have to come up with a solution. And invariably, if you put enough time, effort, and work into it, you will come up with a solution. And I did. And so now, that's not overwhelming anymore. I overcame it. I learned how to fund a $45,000 deal within less than 7 days. It was a pain in the butt, but you know, check. Know how to do that. Don't have to be overwhelmed by that again. And and so I have this concept called embrace the overwhelming. It's the things in life that overwhelm you that are going to make you better, especially as guys. It's very, very important that we struggle. We're not going to become the men that we need to be. We're not going to become strong if everything is given to us. I mean, you can just look at entitled rich kids and trust fund babies and stuff like that. They're not, by and large, contributing much to society. It's the people that really struggle, especially early on, embrace that struggle, and then overcome, being overwhelmed for whatever the situation is. And those are the people that make the big difference in the world. Those are the people that go out and do things. Now, conversely, there's a group of people who, whenever they're overwhelmed, they shut down. They take medication. They complain to their congressman. They riot. Whatever, protest. That's not, in my opinion, how you should come about or how you should resolve being overwhelmed. You need to come up with solutions. You need to learn. You need to do the research. You need to go out there and talk to the people. Trust me, I'm not the first guy who's had to fund a $45,000 deal in under 7 days and didn't have the money. I know it's been done by other people. And if there's other people can do it, then I can do it. A solution exists. I just don't know how to do it. It goes into, other videos that I'll probably end up doing and sharing my thoughts called, you got to do the work. You can't just sit there and go, oh my gosh, I have to do this, and you know, God's going to provide for me, and then you don't do anything. That's not how life works. That's not how this universe works. So now, whenever today was a little overwhelming, I have so many things I need to get done. Um, Let me give you another example. So when you have one or two rental homes, right? It's not that hard to manage them. I self-manage all the homes. My wife and I, she's pretty good at interrogating prospective tenants, and we've learned who not to rent to is basically. But that's overwhelming too. Having to evict people and things like that. So, but when you get number three and number four, it's not the same as one and two, and it's twice as much work. It could be more than twice as much work, and so it becomes a little overwhelming, and you have to come up with new systems and new ways of doing it. And then when you go to four or five and six homes, very different. I mean, it's overwhelming. It's not the same as three or four. Well, every two or three homes that you add on, you have to get better. You have to have better systems, and it becomes overwhelming trying to manage it. But what it does is it forces you to create better systems. It forces you to, um, stop being somewhat lazy and become more professional. And if you don't do that, then you're not going to succeed. Uh, Early on, I was not willing to evict because I was afraid. I didn't know how to do it. It was an overwhelming. Um, it was overwhelming when people didn't pay and I couldn't get them to pay. But once I learned and I overcame that, now it takes me 16 minutes from the time I park downtown to the time I get back into my car and I filed eviction. Not a big deal. Know how to do it. I have everything going. Anyways, I wanted to share these thoughts with you on embracing the overwhelming. I think it's important that you get into situations where you're overwhelmed, certainly both personally and professionally, and that you overcome those situations. And that's how we get wisdom. That's how we grow, and that's how we become successful. Anyways, go out there and be successful. Don't let anybody stop you. I hope that you live the "you won't stop me" lifestyle, because I can tell you this: you won't stop me.